Hey y'all, I'm Karen Mayer Cunningham, the special education boss. If you've ever felt confused, overwhelmed, or just plain frustrated at the 504 IEP table, you are in the right place. Every week, I'm breaking down the rules, the rights, and the realities of special education so you can walk into meetings informed, empowered, and ready to make real change. And whether you're a parent, a teacher, an advocate, a school-based member, or somebody who's just trying to do right by a student, this podcast gives you straight talk, real answers, and tools that you can use immediately. I'm not here to play politics. I'm not here to play sides. I'm here to train people who sit at the table and teach you how to follow the law, ask the right questions, and protect the rights of students. So go ahead and hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change. We're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. Welcome, you guys. So we are excited to tell you about an amazing new book that we have, the IEP. It's coming out in a few months, and we have pre-orders now that come with bonuses. So if you just go to the name of the book, the Epic IEP, you can order it, and it's going to just change your life. It's a powerful playbook for parents, educators, and advocates navigating the special education process. Is it going to be amazing, Cindy?
It is going to be amazing.
Tell the people how amazing it is.
On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 15. And I think a lot of families would have a lot less heartache, ma'am, if you brought this out like 5 years earlier.
But it's coming out now. And so if you go to the epic-iep.com, you can just pick your favorite book fulfillment center there. And you can pre-order your book and then come back and register, and that will unlock $500 worth of bonuses. So we know that you're epic. We know that you need this book. This is my life's work. And if you don't need it for you, get it for somebody else. It will change the way that educator, that paraprofessional, that administrator, that advocate, that attorney, or that parent has successful IEPs.
I think it's really important to know, especially for this, is that anyone can pick up this book and relate, because the little snippet stories that you have transport you right to that child and that family, and then it tells you what to do and how to navigate it. It is real, it is meaningful, and it is not hard.
And it takes all that technical stuff that we get on, government sites and law books, and makes it applicable and easy to use however you sit at the table. And then at the end of every chapter, there's a checklist for parents, there's a checklist for educators, and there's a checklist for advocates, so that we all can be special ed bosses at the IEP table.
Absolutely.
All right, questions from our friends.
Well, we did get 37 questions, comments, emails all throughout between last week and now. And people wanted to know, if they buy the book at certain places or whatever vendor, do they all get the bonuses, or is it just with one vendor, and how do they do that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Cindy. So when you go to the epic-iep.com, I think it has, what does it have, Cindy? It has Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Amazon, but it's available on 130 platforms. So whichever platform you order books on, get it from there. Get a hardcover book, and then when you come back, however you purchase it, there'll be a step 2 on the Epic IEP page, the epic-iep.com page. And then you just put in your information and your email, and we will add you to the bonuses. And they will be released starting next week. And we have, what do we have? We have a reader's guide. We have a mini book of Karen quotes. There's Karen quotes. We have the first 2 chapters you're going to get. We have a private Facebook Epic IEP book club. You have an hour interview, Ask the Boss, about the book. And then you will be invited to a 6-hour summit Thursday, February 5th, so that you can be even more amazing than you already are. So it's a tiny investment. You are going to be so equipped, and it's going to change your experience and, more importantly, the outcomes for kids at an IEP meeting.
So another question right along this line, would they ever have the opportunity to get it signed?
Yeah, I will be doing, myself and my team, we're working with a publisher right now, our publishing company, Mission Driven Press, Forefront Books, and then Simon & Schuster, and we'll be working on having dates. Myself and my team will be doing book signings at, the regular Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, if there are half-price books, whatever those book vendors are, and we will be coming to a city near you. And if you have your book, I would be so honored to, A, let's take a photo together, and B, let me sign it for you.
I will never forget my first photo with you. Forever. Okay. Does an IEP have a time limit?
Does an IEP have a time limit? That's a good question. We were training in the mastermind last night on annual IEP goals because that's a stumper for people. And so IEP goals, the part that's SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound, you write annual IEP goals. And so that's going to be for 36 instructional weeks. And then if during the year you have to write a new goal or you have to adjust the goal, then it would go from that time to the rest of the annual date. So they're always time-bound.
Which state are you from, or do you live in? Because I know federal is federal, but every state has different procedures, right?
So I'm from the state of confusion. No, I'm from Texas. And good news, boys and girls, there aren't different special ed laws. So this is the federal law. You can get it on our bookshelf at specialeducationacademy.com. Specialeducationacademy.com. This is the federal law. This is IDEA. And so federal law trumps any state regulation, statute, or law. And federal law, when you receive IDEA funds, it's for special education students. And it's the same application whether you're in the Kodiak Islands or you are in Miami-Dade County. Now, every state has different regs, and we teach on that every Monday night in the Epic Special Education Academy. You really need to join that. But that's the good news about special education, right? It's the same. If you're an advocate in Virginia and you have clients in California, it's the same federal law. Are there different languages that different states use? Yes. So in Texas, we call an IEP meeting an ARD meeting because we have to be different. So that stands for admission, review, and dismissal. But child find, IEPs, present levels, accommodations, goals, those are all the same requirements wherever you are.
You've been teaching on this one a lot. Can paraprofessionals teach small groups if a SPED teacher is not in the room?
No. And I know nobody likes that. I know nobody likes me saying that. Nobody likes that I'm not a teacher. I'm just here to tell you the truth. And the federal law is linear. It's not up for interpretation. And so you would need a special educator in the room, right? Certainly paraprofessionals are support staff and they can support that special education teacher in the same room. But the legal obligation under the law is that paraprofessionals who are amazing are support staff members and they work under the direct supervision, and it's actually in quotation marks. I didn't put it in quotation marks because, I would have put some sparkles on it, right, Cindy? And about 5 exclamation points. So direct supervision, and then it goes on for more specificity and No Child Left Behind and Every Student Succeed Act that says the requirements of paraprofessionals must be under the direct supervision of a highly qualified teacher, and a paraprofessional serving in special education would be a special educator. Certainly paraprofessionals could support anybody in the school district that they're hired for. And then it goes on to clarify how under direct supervision is met. And the last one of 3 is that they are under the direct supervision of a special educator in close proximity and frequent proximity. So I don't know how much clearer that can be. So I think that if that's not what the law meant at all, that we would have special education attorneys, school districts, the National Association for Autism would be all over that. But direct supervision, I don't know how much clearer that can be. Do I know that school districts have not properly staffed rooms and school districts know what they're doing? Yes. And have school districts and superintendents and MTSS leaders been teaching the really important people, the teachers, the paraprofessionals, the people that work with kids every day, that it's okay? And so I don't know what the word okay means, but I know the law is expected to be implemented, because when the state sends a letter every year and says, hey, dear U.S. Congress, we are Alabama, we are making a commitment to meet our federal obligations under IDEA. And in exchange for that, the federal government releases federal funds for special education students. So if you can find me a statute and a law that says, Karen, it's a typo, then send it to me. I'll print it out. I'll probably get a tattoo of it. But paraprofessionals, which are a life-giving source to our students, support general ed teachers. They support special education teachers. And those are the requirements. One of the really good guidances that you could use is, this is working with this is called Working with Paraprofessionals. I've got a ton of these. This is a resource from the Texas Education Agency. You could just type into your computer TEA, Working with Paraprofessionals. And this is not my document, it's theirs. I'm just reading it straight off of here. On page 7, it says non-negotiables for paraprofessionals. So when I hear the word non, does that mean we could negotiate it, Cindy?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so when
Non means no.
Non means no. So when it says paraprofessionals may not engage in the following activities. I didn't make this. I didn't type this. I'm not an attorney. I'm a college dropout. So you know what? I didn't make it. So it lists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things just on this page that are non-negotiables. It's in dark letters, non-negotiables, right? And right in the middle it says non-negotiables. Paraprofessionals may not engage in the following activities. Be responsible for any IEP-related responsibilities without the supervision of a certified educator. And so what's happened, my staff has seen, and our team has seen, and I've seen, and we really rolled it out in COVID, right? Is that they were having paraprofessionals do the duties of general ed teachers and special ed teachers and behavioralists, right, Cindy? And now we know districts that are solely staffing classrooms with paras. I know that because I know a gazillion people that work at districts who are awesome, and their hands are tied, right? The principal doesn't hire people. You know who hires people? Say it with me. Human resources. But guess what? Human resources is not governed by the Texas Education Agency. Human resources is not governed by the Florida Department of Education. And so what myself and my partners see and hear in meetings, we'll have attorneys pop on, we'll have directors pop on. I had an assistant superintendent and he said, Miss Cunningham, I heard that you had questions. Oh, no, I don't have questions. Your behavior is questionable and it's unethical, right? You are putting people in a position to lose their license. And so here's the thing. If you're not going to put special educators in classrooms, that's fine. Send back the money. Just send it back. Send it back. So if you wanted to hire staff members, you could do that, right? We're not asking for a special educator for every kid in the class. But the classroom, if there are special ed students who have in-class support minutes, one special educator needs to be there. So am I an attorney? No, I am a non-attorney advocate. I'm a certified mediator. I do about 500 IEP meetings a year, have about 100 OCR complaints open at any time. I represent families in due process hearings and mediations. And I just want people to know the truth. And so the good thing about law is it's kind of simple, right? So if you're driving down the road, it says, Cindy, if it says 55 miles an hour. So does that mean you can go 60 miles an hour?
The speed limit is 55 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that's the law, right? And so it's not about getting people in trouble. It's about equipping people with the information so they can serve kids better.
And I never get caught. Only kidding. How do you know what the questions are?
What the questions are?
I think they're asking how do you know what questions to answer?
Oh, I answer it. Well, so we have people that send us questions all week. So if you want us to do, we are starting to do about 3 or 4 lives a week. A couple of lunch ones. Cindy and I do the great latte and learn or whatever you have in your cup, right? Another L word, right? During that, any questions that we've had sent in to our team, we will read them. People send us questions all the time and ask them to be in the live. So we read those questions first. And then if there's more time, we read the questions in the feed.
Hello, I have 2 kids with IEPs. Is it true that next year special needs classes will go away in the 2026 beginning school year?
No, ma'am. So nothing's going away. It's staying. So special education has been a federal law since December 2nd, 1975, when Gerald Ford begrudgingly signed it into law and said it was going to be a lot of work, right? So we're almost at our 50-year mark. It's a federal requirement. It's a federal act. So the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act is an agreed upon federal requirement that was agreed upon by our federal government.
Alrighty. It just jumped. You answered that one.
And again, if you guys are wanting the book, so just go to the book's called The Epic IEP, The Epic IEP. So go to theepic.iep.com. Buy your book there from whatever book fulfillment center you use. It comes out in January. We are doing pre-orders, and for pre-orders only, when you come back with your order number, you just put it in on step 2 at theepic.iep.com, and it will unlock $500 worth of bonuses for everybody that pre-orders.
Okay, I did a deep dive on all your videos. You have helped me so much with my kids with IEPs, and I won my MDR.
Oh, good. That's so good. We love a good MDR. And MDR is like, it's like an MMA fight, isn't it? It's like ding, ding, ding. Like it's really fast, and you're like, oh. So good for you. Those are hard.
They are. Congratulations. Okay, next question is, if someone has an IEP with ESE services and it was signed, but then it was added to a year later, but not signed, does the student still need the original minutes?
So signatures on a document, those get missed sometimes, right? If I was in a meeting today, and if the parent's signature's not on it, but that's what we agreed to in the IEP committee, then that's the obligation of the school.
A comment: some state investigators don't know the federal laws.
I know. Isn't that weird? I was talking to one of my partners the other day, and we had a mediation, and a lot of time hearing officers or attorneys turn into mediators when they retire, right? And I was talking to the mediator who was a hearing officer for a very big state in America. She goes, "Where'd you get that from?" Like the law, 300.324, parents are supposed to put in the IEP document parent concerns for enhancing the education of their child. What? So I think teachers and schools are so busy with paperwork and compliance and software that if we spend as much time teaching people how to use the special ed software as we did the special ed law, that would be fantastico.
The law works better than the software, too.
The software. The software. Who invented special ed software? Can't one of you guys on my live invent some software? I'll sell it. But every software we get, like, oh my gosh, I thought the special ed software couldn't get any worse. Oh, no.
Yes.
It did.
Maybe with AI it'll get better.
Oh.
I was told that before a case review can be conducted in the state of Florida, they are required to do MTSS. Is that true?
So that's a lie. I wish there was another better word than lie, but you're either telling the truth or you're not. So you can type into your Google bar OSEP, OSEP, January 2011. OSEP, January 2011. And the Office of Special Education Programs, which sends out guidance to schools when there are so many people complaining, makes it very clear that RTI, SST, MTSS, UPS, FedEx, OPI, whatever, none of those can be used to stop a referral or initial provision of special education evaluations.
How do we even know if they're working on our kids' goals?
You would ask the teacher. How's he doing on goal 7.2? Has he increased his percentages? Is he struggling with you? Is there something you're doing when you're working with the goals that I could reinforce?
Is removing an IEP difficult?
Removing? So
Removing.
So an IEP is an individualized education program that parents have given the district consent. So if you're the parent and you want to stop special ed services, you could revoke consent. If you're the district and you believe that the IEP is no longer needed, then you would call an IEP meeting and, screen share the data that supports a student is no longer in need of special education and or related services.
If a district denies a service and it's not documented in the PWN, can we ask for it to be amended?
So I would email the school and say, which I often do, because sometimes we get into, your deliberations are a little tricky, right? I talk a lot, I've been told, and I talk fast because they didn't let me talk during the 70s. So the PWN, the prior written notice, is a legal obligation of the school district with 7 federal components. If you receive the PWN and you disagree with what it says, it's already locked, right? I don't know where they lock it. I guess, where do they lock it? Is it in the gym? They lock things in the gym, right, Cindy? But it's locked.
Yes.
So at the end of a meeting that we didn't come to the same meeting of the minds, I'm always going to populate a Word document and send it to the school on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is what occurred in our meeting today. Your PWN left out some information. Please attach this to his cumulative folder. So somebody is asking, and Cindy might know, because I'm in the great state of Texas, she's in the great state of Florida. So somebody is saying, is it true about Camp on Florida for autism kids? Do you know what that is?
No, I've heard of Camp Toucan for autism for Florida kids.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe some clarification? Okay, let's see. My district is denying my request for the para to be invited to the IEP. What can I do?
Nothing. Because here's the thing. Paras aren't special educators, right? So you can ask anybody that is one of the 5 stakeholders. And who are they? They are the LEA representative, the parent, a general educator, a special educator, and somebody that does in assessments and is able to answer questions and interpret results. So I have been doing this for 562 million years. I have never seen a para at an IEP meeting. I would love that. But they don't let paras come to a meeting. I wonder why they don't let them come, Cindy. Let's all guess. Because they don't want them in a room where they might answer questions and we might have information that they don't want us to have. But I love paras. God bless paras. The truth. The Paratruth. We should do it as a documentary series. The Paratruth.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
The Paratruth.
Not the Paratroops, but the Paratruth.
Paratruth. Self-contained sped teacher resigned. No subs are picking it up. What do I do?
So are you the parent or the teacher? Does it look like it's from a parent or a teacher?
I think it's from a parent.
Yeah, so, you can ask the district, when might we anticipate the provision of FAPE to be delivered to my child? And then based upon that answer, if you're wanting a response and the state to get involved, you file a state complaint that the student, the person delivering the special education services, is not credentialed for that. And we teach on that. We have a training on our website, how to file an amazing state complaint. We have another product called How to File an Amazing Office of Civil Rights Complaint. I think the state complaint training is I think it's 2 hours. The federal filing complaint training is 5.5 hours.
Hello, my son has an IEP and I need so much help because the school is being so uncooperative. How do I get an advocate? How do I start? Tell me what to do.
Yeah, so we have a team of advocates. So just email us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. I haven't had my second pot of coffee. Somebody said, can the teacher file the complaint? If you're the teacher, I wouldn't file the complaint unless, you don't mind getting fired. So I teach 75% of the people that I train are educators. And so obviously they know what shenanigans are going on, but I do find that school districts retaliate against the people that aren't doing that. But if you're ready to retire, you could file the complaint and then we could train you to be a rock star special education advocate. And all you need is a heart, knowledge, love people, love kiddos, and an Ethernet cord.
You gotta have that Ethernet.
You gotta have a modem, ma'am. What's your modem? You're about to have a second modem in your house. You're gonna be the house of modems, aren't you, Cindy?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
The Modem Maven. And yeah, if you
Yes,
guys are
yeah.
wondering about the book, you can pre-order it now, the epic-iep.com. Go there, pick your Amazon, whatever provider it's on there. Order your book, come back in step 2 and put your information in, and it will unlock $500 worth of bonuses ahead of time.
Can parents provide ESOL small group instruction alone, even if they are under MTSS?
ESOL? What is ESOL?
English speakers of other languages?
Oh, ESAL?
Yes.
Yeah, that's an acronym. ESOL. I thought you were talking about the kid in the Bible. Esau. Esau and Jacob.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Here in Florida, we call it ESOL.
So Cindy's from another country. She doesn't speak English. She says coffee. So I have to, I'm her personal communication device. So if you are providing support services, it's listed out very clearly what paras can and cannot do. So the special educator or the general educator delivers the initial instruction. Depending on if you're level 1, level 2, or level 3 aide. Let's say the special ed minutes for Billy in math are solely they're just special ed minutes. You gotta have a math goal. Then there's some waiver on that. But teaching a special ed instructional product solo would not meet the expectation under No Child Left Behind and or Educate Every Student Succeed Act.
Let's see. Hey, you've been so helpful, and I'm so grateful to you. How can you take time out of your day to help us all like this? You are very appreciative.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice. You're gonna mess up my makeup. You know why? Because I didn't have a Karen. I didn't have somebody to follow. I can't not do this work. I love this work. I love the people. I love the happy people, the unhappy people. Because if somebody doesn't train, then children suffer. Parents are devastated and teachers are stressed. And so my job is to take parent passion and educator wisdom and then put it all together with this amazing federal law and write Epic IEPs so kiddos can have amazing, successful outcomes.
You know, you brought me from sad and off the floor to mad, but we had a plan, and then I was glad. So I guess you are the sad, mad, glad train.
SMG right here. SMG.
Can a special education teacher file a police report when a child physically assaults a teacher?
So if you're my client, if you're my friend, you're my enemy, I would tell you if somebody is hurting somebody else and there's a child involved, whether it's the child doing it, if your campus is not going to address it, you have an obligation to report and call Child Protective Services. It should be the responsibility of the principals and the leadership to get those students in a more supported setting while they work on mitigating the acuity of their emotions and their disability. But when principals know about these occurrences and just leave them in the room, that for me is educator misconduct.
Can I request compensatory services for my child if the teacher has been out, but a sub is there but not qualified?
Yeah. So compensatory time is to return the student back to where they would have been had the IDEA violation not occurred. So if you don't file, guess what? I'll bet you $1 gazillion in monopoly money that the district is not going to call and say, hey, Bob and Terry, hey, listen, we haven't had a certified teacher for 9 months, and we would like to give you back 375 minutes a day. How's that sound? You ever had that call? I mean, it must be like one of those bat phones in the Batmobile. Yeah, if you think that the district is going to, on their own, offer compensatory time to everybody that's been denied FAPE, we would like to know where you live. And we are all moving there.
I'll get the moving truck. When doing an AT evaluation for dysgraphia, should the kid be talked to? He's a 5th grader.
Well, if you're doing an evaluation, you would be working with the student to see the acuity of his dysgraphia.
What is your thought. Oh, and that was it. It stopped. Okay. Let's see. What? I'm sorry. It's jumping. Can I request... Same question. Sorry. How do we request your services again, please?
Yeah, just reach out to our team at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com.
Okay, I have a student where next year they are going to be moved to life skills. Why wouldn't they be moved now?
So, I mean, I can tell you the real reasons. I just can't say it out loud here. If a student needs life skills next year, you already know that. That's because you have data to support that. So he would need it now, right? Moving a child because we're changing grades is predetermination and yucky. So, yeah, if the student needs a more supported setting than they're in, then we have an IEP meeting. We talk to the team members, and we make that happen.
A student on an IEP has been absent 36 of the 42 days of this quarter. What should a school be doing to help this? I'm a teacher.
I mean, there's a number of reasons for absences, right? So I would first reach out to the family and see if they need support, if they need wraparound services, if they need social worker. I would probably have an IEP meeting and request a reevaluation to be opened and ask for in-home parent training so that we can kind of figure out what's working at home and what's not working and try to support that family to get the kiddo in school.
My son is a special education kid in a self-contained classroom for 3 hours a day with a BIP, but it's not a good BIP. Help, please.
Yes, most BIPs aren't good, right? So if you have a supplement, a behavior intervention plan, and it's currently not appropriate for the disabled student, we go back to the table, ask for an FBA, a functional behavior assessment, have that completed, and then we identify the appropriate targeted behaviors that we want to mitigate and set up a plan to do that.
What book did you just mention on Amazon?
Yep. So if you go to the epic-iep.com, it will take you, step one will take you to whatever book fulfillment that you want, and then come back to the epic-iep.com, put in your information, and it will unlock $500 bonuses for people that pre-order.
Woohoo! My son has incomplete work, but has extended time for accommodations. What else can I help? What else can I add to the IEP to help with this incomplete work? Maybe
we don't need more accommodations. Maybe we need to look at the learner's production. Two things happen in a classroom, right? Instruction and production. Sometimes we have so many accommodations, it really is a special ed service. So we have to have a sober talk about, does he need his work modified? You know, and everybody clutches their pearls. Oh, the state test. Don't care about the state test. Don't care about people that make the state test. I don't care. I'm an adult. Nobody's ever asked me in the last, 40 years what I got on my state test. You know why? Nobody cares, right? So, yeah, there's that.
Let's just say we're very glad that Cindy goes above and beyond her ability that was shown on the state test.
Yes. I did terrible on that test, like to get into college. It was so bad. I'm like, well, can I just talk my way in?
Absolutely. Especially when your talk is results. Help. The psychic. No, I'm sorry.
The psychic. Maybe we need the psychic to be the sixth stakeholder at an IEP meeting. I predict that Karen is going to frown and take her glasses off and start to shake her head. Something like that.
I don't want to be on the other side of the IEP table when that happens.
No.
Site decline services for TK. He pinches, he kicks, he bites, he yells with all staff, and he elopes. I just don't know what to do.
Well, he's probably not in the right setting. Right. So teachers, we have a great toolbox. We have so many things that we do, but I don't think that we're quick enough as districts to soberly talk about this is not the right setting. 10 years ago, I couldn't get a kiddo in general ed for inclusion, but now since the para pandemic, and that has nothing to do with paras, we are now shoving every kid into general ed. which is not appropriate. And it was never intended to be that.
What happens if a teacher doesn't give accommodations to a student and you can prove it?
So the only people you can prove it to are a state investigator or a federal investigator with the U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights. And they would investigate either one of those.
So would a parent be able to help with, say, like name stamping work or like letter recognition in the name book?
I think so. That's, again, is that, repetition, right? We learn things by rote, or is it specially designed instruction? So the student has IEP goals, right? So let's say you have a math goal and a reading goal. We assume those are going to be implemented and data collected once a week, right? And so we're not talking about them supporting the teacher or repeating what the teacher did. We're talking about specially designed instruction and fulfilling those special education minutes.
If the state is not listening to your complaints and you lost a state complaint, can you then file an OCR complaint?
You can file a better state complaint, right? Often state complaints are just not filed well, right? They're filed, a state complaint we file on the federal law, right? And so parents have a tendency in their state complaints to write out this story of how they felt and experienced the school's actions. And while there's nothing wrong with that, that's not a legal standard. So when you're filing a complaint, it has to meet a legal standard. It has to be sufficient. And so we teach people how to file state complaints based on federal statutes that were violated at your school.
Is the school required to provide you with an IEP draft before the IEP meeting?
They're not required to, but I think it's really a good idea that when the parent requests the draft before the IEP meeting so that they can fully participate, that we provide that to them, knowing that it's just a draft and all decisions are made in the IEP meeting. But I don't go into IEP meetings without a draft.
I know for a fact my students on IEPs aren't getting services. What can I do?
So I'm assuming that's a teacher.
Yes.
Same choices. You can contact an advocate. An advocate can file on behalf of a group of children, a campus, a program. But I wouldn't recommend that if you're currently employed at a school district and you need to stay employed at a school district, that you file. I wish you could. But it's probably going to jeopardize your position and or absolutely your job.
The SLP quit. We are offering compensatory services, but how long can we legally go without SLP services?
There's not a timeline to violate the law, right? So we have to provide those services, and those services get provided to parents that are really good advocates, parents that have advocates, and people that require the school to provide the compensatory time. And is there a shortage in schools? Yes. Has there been a shortage for special educators for the last 50 years? Yes. Do some schools not do some schools not take care of their staff members? You tell me, Cindy. So I don't find leadership at schools, principals, SPED directors, curriculum, leads at the district are unaware of their obligations, duties, and responsibilities under OCR, IDEA, ADA, or state regulations. But I do find often that they mislead their own staff.
I am living proof of that.
Yeah. Cindy, how long did you teach?
I taught for 27 years, and I was a special education teacher for the last 11 years, MTSS lead for our school, and I was taught incorrectly and then therefore taught all of my teachers incorrectly.
Was that long before you knew special education boss?
That was long before, and then I resigned.
Yeah.
And then you picked me up off the floor. Thank you for that. I
scooped her up and trained her, and now she's out there serving families.
Sad, mad, good. Should admin be present in an IEP meeting?
The LEA rep has to be present. So if that is a principal, a vice principal, an associate principal, or a counselor that has that accreditation, they are the LEA representative, the local education agency representative.
ST is providing services to the whole self-contained classroom, 10 plus kiddos, and calling it a group session. Thoughts?
I mean, it's a group and it's a session. If we're in a room with 4-year-olds and they spend their entire day in ECSE, if we're in a room with kiddos in an autism unit or a maladaptive behavior unit or a life skills unit, or sometimes even, a medical therapeutic unit, it would be appropriate that they would push in and do it as a group.
How can my husband and I come to an agreement about my son being evaluated? I am a teacher.
That husband-wife thing, if I knew how to make husbands and wives agree on something, I wouldn't be an advocate. So it's my experience, doesn't have to be yours, that often men struggle with the thought of their child having a disability. That's just my experience, right? It's not everybody, but I do find that sometimes it's harder for men to understand this is what their child has and is experiencing. And so, we've all been parents and we've all been, aunts and uncles, and sometimes you just think things are going to stop. I know when my son was little, he was my first child. He was in special ed. He was in resource. And so I got all my information from other people long before the interweb. And what did very nice people say at church, in our neighborhood, at my husband's job? Oh, he'll grow out of that. It'll be fine. He's a boy. He's 2. And people mean well, but this is what I related to. An educational intervention is equally as important as a medical intervention. So if your child was running a temperature for 4 days, you wouldn't go, let's see how the spring semester goes. You would take them to somebody to get them evaluated. And so Child Find is an obligation of school districts that they are charged with ILE, identifying, locating, and evaluating children who have suspected disabilities who may be in need of special education and related services. And so, special ed it's not a scarlet letter. It's not a bad thing. It's just something additionally the child needs to be successful. I need glasses to be successful. Nobody would go, oh my God, I can't believe you have glasses. So special ed is just coaching, right? They need something more than the general ed teacher can solely provide. And the only way you get that service is by having an eligibility. And the only way you get an eligibility is by information that supports that need. So you and your husband, call me. I'll talk to him.
You are a very good mediator. I don't know. Can I opt out of the state test for my own elementary kiddos?
Not a fan of the state test in any state, but it's not, if the thing with the state test is that some campuses will say yes, some campuses will say no. Of all the things that I, stick the landing on, state testing is not one of them. If you don't want them to take it, that's your position. It used to be a little bit easier, right? I could just keep him home Thursday, April 10th, and then he missed it. But now they've just opened the window, and the window is all the way open. And probably what's going to happen, even if you opt out, as soon as he gets in the building, Cindy's going to grab him by the cuff of the neck and say, let's get down here, mister, and do your math state test. So it's an unfortunate thing. I think it's, we had a great vocation called teaching, and we ruined it with state testing.
I used to have children that would purposely be absent so they could make it up with me. My son has a para and an IEP. But what can I do to help him not be so dependent on his para for work?
So I'm not a fan of a one-on-one for a child. So we need to look at the data. Does he need somebody on his hip for the entire instructional day? It's not my experience. If you need somebody on your hip for the entire instructional day, I would say general ed's not appropriate for you at this time, right? And often when I'm in meetings, I was just in a meeting, and I said, Why does he have a one-on-one para in a self-contained room? And she said, everybody in the self-contained room gets one. That's not individualized. And I've never met a child that needs a one-on-one para other than children that were harming themselves or others for the entire instructional day, right? So the first thing that I do in a meeting is I go over his daily schedule. So there's nowhere that he can be without a human standing next to him. It's not my experience. And somebody asked, where can you find an advocate that's free or low cost? So I would reach out to your Department of Education. Most Department of Educations will have a list of advocates and have a list of attorneys. And there may be some sliding scale or agency services that may be able to help you. There's usually a parent resource network in every state. There's Disability Rights, which is a federal agency, but they all have a very few number of kiddos that they help.
I don't want to ask you this, but it's funny. When is the second book coming out?
It is coming out in February. Have I told you that? Yeah. The second book is coming. Yeah. If I lived to this first book. So if you want the book, go to the name of the book, theepic.com, buy it from whatever book fulfillment center that you want. And then on step 2, put in your information and we'll unlock $500 worth of bonuses for people that pre-order.
My daughter is showing signs of dyslexia, so I will be following you to make sure things are done right. How do I start off?
You want an evaluation, right? The great thing about testing, it does one of two things. It identifies or eliminates. We want both. And so I would go to the school and I would send an email and say, dear campus, this is my formal request for my child to have special education testing. Areas of suspected disability are learning, attention, and we look forward to coming in and signing notice and consent. I would caution you on using the word dyslexia, because when you do that, you're going to get a dyslexia evaluation. So talk about the characteristics, because we say for suspected disabilities. So we suspect that her disability affects her communication, her behavior, learning, all those things.
If students are diagnosed with dyslexia or other things, but are performing at or above grade level, should they still have an IEP?
So grades don't prevent testing. You could be the valedictorian and need an IEP. And you could also have all Fs and not need an IEP. So if you wanted to order the book, the Epic IEP, go to the epic.com, pick your favorite book fulfillment center there, pre-order the hardback book, and then when you get that information, you'll go back to step 2 at the epic.com. If I can figure out which way that is, and it will unlock $500 in bonuses for people that pre-order the hardback book.
We have resource for math and ELA, but the rest of the day he's in life skills. How can IEP goals still be met for 6th grade?
If he's in resource for ELA and math, then he should be in resource for science and social studies. Science and social studies are, in my opinion, the easiest to have kiddos be successful in inclusion and general ed. But I wouldn't have a kiddo in life skills for science and social studies, but he's in resource for math and reading. I would just go back to the table, and this is what we say at the table. It's very simple. Can you show me the data that supports your recommendation? So resource is in the federal code. It's 300.115, and it's a classroom with solely disabled children who are usually a few years behind academically and need to have modified work at a slower prosody and cadence.
I just had an IEP meeting, and I haven't received a physical copy of the IEP. How long does it take to receive it?
So there's no language in the law about how quickly the school has an obligation to get you a copy of it. They use words like reasonable. What does that mean? So I would expect it within 5 days. So I would just email whoever was, making the deliberations or the IEP chair and say, when can I expect a copy of my IEP?
What's supposed to be included in the draft? They're telling me they can only write goals.
So the draft is the draft, right? So when people say I can only give you parts of the IEP, that's really bizarre, right? Who said you could only give them parts? So the school district gets to see the whole draft and the parents get 7 pages. I call on that. And that's the noise you make. I have a lovely principal that I'll be seeing tomorrow that sent us 7 pages of a draft, and I gently emailed her because I'm gentle. And I said, "Dear Muffin," that wasn't really her name, "please provide the family a full draft copy of the IEP document so they can meaningfully participate, understanding that it's just a draft and all decisions are made in the meeting. Without that full draft ahead of time, it's unlikely my client will be able to make an informed decision and we'll probably have to reschedule." So she emailed us back and gave us a few more pieces of the IEP. So what's going to happen, we get in the IEP meeting, is when we start the meeting, they have an obligation to give me the draft because we're in the meeting. And then I'm going to have to jump off for 10 minutes and review the draft when I could have reviewed it tonight at midnight with a bowl of Cheetos. So I don't know why petty is a behavior sometimes in schools, but that's just petty. That's not, I mean, we're on an IEP team together. So the one team member can't see the draft, but the other team members can. If I didn't spend time dealing with emails like that and the person that schedules the meeting, I'd probably have 25% of my life back.
Can a general education teacher truly fulfill and fill the gaps that special education students have?
So I don't know where the phrase "fill the gaps" came from. We don't fill gaps in special education. We don't. We identify the deficit, and we do one thing in special education. We teach a child strategies to self-manage their disability, right? So if you are in 4th grade and you read at a 2nd grade level, we're not going to close that gap. We already know you have a disability. Your output is not in the norm and average range. Our job is to really work on teaching you skills and strategies and trying to make sure that gap doesn't get any bigger. And it's really heartbreaking when I hear schools say that we're going to put them in this program and close the gap. We don't close gaps.
Do you know if there is a cap on class size in Tennessee for self-contained classes or a ratio?
I have never seen a cap under a federal law, under the Every Student Succeed Act or the No Child Left Behind Act. I do know that some states in their state regulations have ranges.
What is I recently had a predetermination issue with a school district before any discussion. What are your thoughts?
It depends on what you think is a predetermination discussion. So predetermination really isn't about a discussion. I would say predetermination for me, I'm not an attorney, is you came in on no and you left on no, even though I provided you data that was opposite of your proposal and you ignored it, right? So we get emails, "I wanted to invite you to a does not qualify meeting." Oh, I couldn't go to a does not qualify meeting. There's no such thing. So we go to an IEP meeting and we all look at the data, whatever that is, together. We talk about it and then we make decisions. Predetermination is based upon a lot of things. It's based on money, it's based on feeder patterns, it's based on staff, instead of being based on the student's unique circumstances.
My son was in homebound, but his dad didn't want it and he stopped it. Can the school help me get it back?
So homebound is initiated for a student because there's a medical doctor who has sent the school a document saying that the student needs to receive his educational instruction at this time at home. It sounds like y'all might be divorced. So parents, schools aren't going to fight between parents, whether they're married or not. I've had some married parents in a meeting disagree with each other. And obviously divorced parents in a meeting disagree with each other. The school only needs one parent to agree with their position.
Do schools offer dyslexia services?
They offer dyslexia intervention.
Excellent. If a student has in-class support, shouldn't they need a goal to track in that area?
Not necessarily. So you could have autism and a speech impairment, But the impact of your autism requires that you need in-class support. But if you don't have, let's say you have in-class support for math, science, social studies, and reading, but you don't have a math goal, then there's not a requirement. There's not a requirement that you have a goal to get a service. We do need to make sure that the need and the present levels is linked to a corresponding service on the schedule of services page.
Just for my timekeeping, I believe it is 6:05 your time.
It's 6:05.
What time?
Yeah, we'll take 2 more questions. And remember, you guys forward this to people. If you don't need this book, somebody does. There's a mom, a dad, a grandma struggling with the kid on an IEP. This powerful playbook is exactly what I do in meetings, what I train people to do. It's a step-by-step guide on how to complete the entire Epic IEP so that kids have successful student outcomes. It's not theory. It's not any of that. It's actually what we do every single day to serve parents at the highest level. So just go to the epic-iep.com, pick your book fulfillment center there. Once you've purchased the hardback book, come back and put in your information. And for those of you that pre-order, it will unlock your bonuses. You like a bonus, don't you? I love bonuses. So we'll take one more question, the great Cindy.
Sure. I think it's important to let them know that when they do get the book, they need to schedule an entire day or two, make sure they're in a comfy spot, have meals delivered, because they're not going to want to put it down.
And they're going to need a highlighter. You definitely need a highlighter.
Absolutely.
And one of the bonuses that you get for pre-ordering one copy of the hardback book is that we will be having an IEP summit, which will be Thursday, February 5th, 2026. It'll be a 6-hour live summit. So you need to skip school that day, bring your book all marked up, and we're going to have a blast.
Absolutely. I'm getting 2 books, one so I can mark and one so it's pristine. I'm a new special education teacher, and I have my first IEP meeting at the end of the month. Any tips?
Yeah, I mean, you're doing great. We love teachers. We're so thankful for teachers. How bizarre that strangers take our kids every day, all day long. So, just have your data, have a good understanding of the student that you serve, their needs, their strengths, and be able to communicate that at the meeting.
What do I do if my son's college still refuses to follow the full guardianship papers for me to help?
So if your college refuses to follow a guardianship paperwork, so guardianship comes in 2 ways: guardianship of the person and guardianship of your estate, or both. So I don't know what would happen at a college that would follow under those 2 categories. So if they're taking money from him, or I don't know how the guardianship would be needed for the college. So, but if you guys have more questions, just shoot us an email at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. We love you. We'll see you guys in the next training. Remember, get it right for the child, get it right for everybody. Go order the book, theepic-iep.com. Hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change, we're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody.